888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243, Larry Elder, ReliefFactor.com studio. So much to get to today. We're going to be talking to a longtime Sacramento reporter who's covered Kamala Harris for years and years. She is now the VP running mate for Joe Biden. He made the announcement today. That'll be later on this hour. Also, a major newspaper in Minneapolis has come out against the reelection of Ilhan Omar. And we're going to talk to a journalist who says she has committed multiple crimes, including immigration fraud. The Big Ten Athletic Conference appears to be on the brink of shutting down their entire season, not just football, but all sports. The New York Attorney General, the one that's filing the civil lawsuit against the NRA, she's called the NRA a terrorist organization. Dentists say that there are some side effects to wearing these masks, not just bad breath, but also decaying teeth, receding gum lines. Major looting, protesting going on in Chicago. And the police chief of Seattle, Carmen Best, has now resigned. You know why? City Council voted 7-1 to slash funding for the police department and also to slash her salary. The vote was 7-1. The one who voted against it did not feel the cuts went far enough. By the way, for what it's worth, all of the Seattle council members happen to be white. The police chief happened to be a black female. I'm just saying the optics kind of look weird, don't they? Given how concerned the left is about diversity and reaching out and making sure that all people are represented. It just seems kind of bad, don't you think? Can we start with what happened as the president was giving his press conference? I was giving an interview on Fox Business on the Lou Dobbs show when all of a sudden he broke into me speaking.
Tucker, good evening to you. We just got some new information from the U.S. Secret Service. It says the investigation into a U.S. Secret Service officer involved shooting is ongoing. A male subject and a Secret Service officer were both transported to a local hospital. At no time during this incident was the White House complex breached or were any of the protectees in danger. It was about 10 minutes to 6. I was out on the North Lawn and heard in rapid succession, bam, boom, like that, what sounded like two gunshots. It was going on, the incident, at the corner of southeast corner of 17th and Pennsylvania Avenue, just on the other side of the Eisenhower Executive Office building. Within a couple of minutes, the Secret Service agent who was stationed here with the president in the Brady briefing room walked up to the president and said, "Sir, we have to leave. There's been shots fired outside the White House."
It appeared to have been about a block or so away from the White House, so the president was not in any real danger. Our own Hugh Hewitt interviewed President Trump.
If Biden wins, you're going to have a radical left. You'll have every city looking like Portland, but you have a radical left, and you're going to have a stock market crash, the equivalent of 1928 and 1929.
You just mentioned
a stock market crash, the equivalent of what we had in 1929, and just mark my words, someday we'll talk about it. I hope we don't have to ever bother, because I hope it doesn't happen. But you know the way it is, the fake news. If he stands up and if he is able to breathe and if he's able to walk off the platform, they'll say it was one of the greatest debate performances in history. The fake news is corrupt, and it's a disgrace, and it's now rated lower than Congress. At least in my mind, it's rated lower than anything. But I've seen things from the fake news that someday I'll tell you some things you wouldn't even believe. These are corrupt people. So if he goes and debates, if he said, yes, I had a wonderful breakfast, thank you for asking the question, they'll say it was one of the greatest answers in history. So, I know what I'm up against. And I had a smaller dose of it with Hillary, but Hillary was smart. Joe was never smart. Joe wasn't smart in prime time. I've had a certain highly respected senator years ago I said, who I get along with very well, which people would be shocked at. I said, who's the smartest person in the Senate? He gave me a name. Then he said, who's the dumbest? He said, Joe. I said, who's Joe? Joe. I said, who is he? Who is he? I said, Joe. You don't know Joe? And we go along. He said, you're talking about Biden? Yeah, I'm talking about Joe Biden. I said, what, he's the dumbest in the Senate? He's by far. He's a glad hand. He called him a glad hand, and he was a friend. He was a friend of the guy. But he said, Joe Biden's the dumbest in the Senate. Now, wow! That was in prime time. That question was asked 20 years ago, probably. You know, I've been involved in this stuff for a long time, even though not on the side that I'm on now. I was on sort of the other side, like helping people get elected.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but you're...
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Why in God's name should someone who's clipping coupons in the stock market in fact, pay a lower tax rate than someone who, in fact, is, like I said, a school teacher and a firefighter?
Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday, and I want to thank you all. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Donald Trump does pose an excellent threat to this. It's not hypothetical. I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
Chris. I just did Chris. Yeah. My son, my deceased son, was the Attorney General of the United States, and before that, he was a federal prosecutor in one of the largest offices in the country, in Philadelphia. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330. We choose truth over facts. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words. 150 million people have been killed since 2007 when Bernie voted to exempt the gun manufacturers from liability. More than all the wars, including Vietnam, from that point on. Carnage on our street.
But please clarify specifically, have you taken a cognitive
No,
test?
I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say to President Trump, who brags about his test and makes your mental state an issue for voters?
Well, if he can't figure out the difference between an elephant and a lion, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Did you watch that? Look, come on, man. I know you're trying to goad me, but I mean, I'm so forward looking to have an opportunity to sit with the president or stand with the president in debates. There's going to be plenty of time. And by the way, as I joke with him, I shouldn't say it. I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't say. Anyway, I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental as well as my mental fitness, and to make a judgment about who I am. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Joe Biden has chosen Kamala Harris to be his running mate. Recall they had some disagreement during the debate. Obviously, that disagreement has been set aside. She is your basic, conventional California so-called progressive Democrat, climate change alarmist, anti-guns, wants an assault weapon ban. She's down with the Green New Deal. You saw during the debate. She didn't know whether she was in favor of Medicare for all, and then she wasn't sure she was in favor of Medicare for all. It doesn't really matter. The march toward single payer will resume in the event that Joe Biden wins the presidency. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. Interested in your comments about Kamala Harris. The CNN broadcaster today referred to her as an African American. Remember when Chris Matthews asked if she was an African American? And Don Lemon says she's black, but not African American. So what? Doesn't matter. I'm Larry Elder.
Larry will be right back. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
These Twitter accounts have lost thousands of followers. Brandon Stracker, the man who founded Walkaway, 3,000 Twitter followers gone. Deanna Lorraine, who ran against Nancy Pelosi, 8,000 followers disappeared. Parody account, Stonewall Jackson, 1776 Stonewall, 4,000 followers lost. Omar Navarro, 5,000 followers just vanished. And then congressional candidate Lauren Boebert, 1,500. Now, what's the linking aspect? Have a wild guess. What links all of these people? Not one of them is a Democrat. Not one of them is a leftist liberal. Glitches, algorithms, or election meddling? You know the answer. It's time to fight back. 87 days to go. And Twitter is in the warpath. Jack Dorsey, what is your excuse this time? You don't have one. I think it might be time for a class action suit. Discrimination along political lines on a platform that has been immunized in 1996 in legislation that said, oh, we're not publishers, we're just information platforms for social media. Yeah, right, Jack.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
How much time do you spend thinking about root causes of the public policy choices that are made here, Heather?
I think the root causes come out of the university, the safetyism ethic, the feminization of university culture is now translated itself into this civilization-destroying mantra of stay safe. I cringe every time I hear that. That is not how a vital culture thinks about things. At some point, we need a politician to stand up and say, there is death. Death is a fact of life. There are going to be some deaths from coronavirus as there are from other things, but there is much more death and destruction being wrought right now by this heartbreaking crushing of private enterprise, of hopes, of dreams, of future generations' opportunity, and staying safe, avoiding one type of risk to the ignorance of all other costs is not what we have elected our government officials to do. They have abdicated their responsibility to weigh the costs and benefits of any given action. They have put themselves in the hands of an extremely narrow set of experts whose own expertise changes by the day. Americans have to wake up and start demanding change, because we are really, really playing not just with the lives of people now who are out of work and whose efforts to create businesses have now been snuffed out completely, but we are playing with our children's lives, because, again, prosperity is not coming back the longer these lockdowns continue.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
I am meeting more and more.
Larry posts new excerpts of the show on YouTube every day. Just go to youtube.com/The Larry Elder Show Radio and click on the subscribe button.
Hey, Larry. Joe Biden has been on life support for the balance of his adult life. He has been collecting a taxpayer-funded paycheck ever since graduating from college. Zero private sector experience, never having to meet a payroll or live under the oppressive laws that he has helped pass. He has abused his various government-held positions to promote himself and advance his own selfish financial enrichment programs, naturally at the expense of the taxpayers who fund his paycheck and who he is supposed to represent. Joe Biden has never been fit for public office in any way, shape, or form. Keep up the good work, Larry. Love you. God bless.
888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243, Larry Elder, ReliefFactor.com studio. I'm going to comment about your statement about Joe Biden and him having lived off the taxpayers all these years. And I want to say something about Kamala Harris being chosen because Joe Biden publicly announced he was going to choose a woman and then got pressured into, quote, choosing a woman of color. What is this? I would have thought maybe even some people on CNN, even some people on MSNBC, because I watch a lot of it so you guys don't have to, somebody would have objected, would have said, this probably isn't a good idea to suggest that it's your turn. Because there's never been an Asian vice president. There's never been a Native American vice president. There's never been, we can play this game all day. I would have thought somebody on the left, some newspaper, maybe the New York Times, maybe somebody would have written an editorial and said, this is identity politics stuff. Right now in America, you can be anything you want to be. But nothing. They're perfectly okay with Joe Biden publicly saying, I'm going to pick a woman. More on this in just a second. Now, when you woke up today, you probably didn't realize that it is in your power to change a child's life forever. I'm talking about impoverished countries like Haiti, Guatemala, where Food for the Poor is operating. Guatemala is the most populous country in Central America. Out of 15 million people who live there, about 60% of all men, women, and children live in poverty. And it has one of the highest rates of child malnutrition anywhere in the world. It's even worse in Haiti. This is from the AP.
Swollen stomachs and patchy orange hair. These Haitian children are showing some of the most common signs of malnutrition. 3 years after the catastrophic earthquake that killed hundreds of thousands, hunger is worse in Haiti than ever before. Despite billions of dollars from around the world pledged toward rebuilding Haiti, food problems underscore just how vulnerable its 10 million people really are. In 1997, about 1.2 million Haitians didn't have enough food to eat. A decade later, that figure has skyrocketed to 6.7 million, or a staggering 67% of the population.
Incredibly high child mortality rates. But food, of course, can cure all of that, and you hold the key. Just go to my website, LarryElder.com. Click on the Emergency Food Relief banner. Your one-time gift of just $37 will provide a starving child in Guatemala with 2 meals a day for the next 6 months. Obviously, a bigger donation can feed even more kids. So just go to my website, LarryElder.com. Click on the banner, or you can phone in your generous donation. Any amount. 855-918-4673. That's 855-918-HOPE to join my summer campaign for Food for the Poor. Again, go to my website. You'll see the Emergency Food Relief banner at the very top. Click it on. Or you can do it by phone, 855-918-4673, 855-918-HOPE. About Joe Biden being a lifelong government politician. When George McGovern, who was the Democrat presidential candidate in 1972, retired from his long career in the Senate, he gathered the money that he had earned primarily on the college lecture circuit. He was a very, very popular speaker, and put the money into an inn, a breakfast inn in New England. Had some of the best consultants, had some of the best advice, and he went bust. And he wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal. And he said many of the things my caller just said. I only wish that before I had become a senator and passed all of these burdensome laws, I had worked in the private sector so that I could see the real world impact of these regulations. And he talked in particular about a regulation that required him to buy a much more expensive security system than the one he wanted to buy. He was obviously going to buy a security system, but the regulations mandated that he buy one far more expensive than was necessary to do the job. But think about that. You're passing all these laws. You've never run a business. Obama never practiced health care. And there he is sitting there reorganizing the entire industry. Obama never sold a car, never made a car, and here he is doing cars for clunkers. To my knowledge, Obama never worked with his hands, and he had a program called Cash for Caulkers. Remember that? Notice that of all the surrogates that you see on TV, if you watch CNN and MSNBC, I wish I watched so you don't have to, I have never heard a single one of them brag about cars for clunkers. I've never heard a single one of them brag about cash for caulkers. I haven't even heard them brag about the so-called stimulus package. Now, these were major initiatives. These were big deals. Cars for clunkers cost the auto industry billions of dollars. It was stupid. The kind of program that you'd expect the communist Chinese to come up with. Cash for caulkers. The idea was to pay people to refurbish their homes. The energy savings would pay for the people. No, they didn't. It was brain dead. And nobody talks about it. I'm surprised Trump doesn't use it against him. I haven't heard any Republicans use it. It is the quintessential thing that an egghead elite lefty does, having spent his career learning about all these kinds of wonderful programs, and then you put him in power, and he does this. Remember how many people lost their jobs because of Obamacare? Because people were letting people go because they didn't want to give them the number of hours so that Obamacare kicked in. You remember that? Worst economic recovery since 1949. And forget about Larry Elder's determination. It's their own determination. When Obama came in, his economic team drafted all sorts of plans. If we don't do anything, we're going to have 3% GDP. They wish they had 3% GDP. But we do all these wonderful things. We're going to get 4.5% GDP. They never got close to that. They got to 2%. And the difference between 2% GDP and 3% is 1 million jobs times the length of the recovery. So Obama had done nothing based on his team's own economic projections. There would have been 7 million more jobs by the end of his second term than he, in fact, had. Now, about all of this, I'm going to choose a woman. I'm going to pick a woman. Honestly, how condescending. Are you going to pick a Hispanic next? What about the Amish? Whatever happened to MLK's vision? The Democrats never do believe it. I'm Larry Elder.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Do you know what this will do to Second Amendment proponents all over the country? Here was her announcement. This is the New York Attorney General yesterday.
Altogether, there are 18 causes of action. And these actions violated multiple laws, including the laws governing the NRA's charitable status, false reporting on annual filings with my office and the IRS, improper expense documentation, improper wage reporting, improper income tax withholding, failure to make required excise tax reporting and payments, payments in excess of reasonable compensation to disqualified persons, and waste of NRA assets, amongst other offenses. For these years of fraud and misconduct, we are seeking an order to dissolve the NRA in its entirety.
The Wall Street Journal editorial board opines this: you have to smile at Letitia James's audacity. The suit claims to speak for millions of donors, but how does dissolving the nonprofit deliver relief or justice to gun rights donors or their cause? Of course, it's all politically driven. Everybody knows that. Letitia James knows it. She once called the NRA a terrorist organization. The death penalty remedy, the Wall Street Journal notes, is one hint that there might be some politics going on here.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.